Today, I'm going to discuss monetization strategies in the digital world, that is, paywalls, subscriptions, and sponsorships. Very recently, we have observed that there is a trend in content creation for digital media platforms, which no longer remained amateurish or passion or hobby, rather, a legitimate career path, especially in the United States and Indian digital media spectrum also experiencing this overturn, and ordinary citizen or commoners in India tend to make use of this trend and thus making profit of business. This shift is largely due to the explosive growth of digital platforms such as YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, which enable creators to reach massive audiences with minimal barriers to entry. According to 2022 report by Signal Fire, over 50 million people globally now identify as content creators, and of these, approximately 2 million are professional, that is, full time content creators, and the majority of whom operate from US. The digital economy, which is largely driven by content consumption, has enabled creators to turn their passion into a profession. Thereby, monetization or making monetization is an integral aspect of content creation. Monetization strategy is now central to the sustainability and the growth of content creation as a profession. So, content creators need to explore avenues beyond ad revenue, which, while accessible, is often unpredictable and insufficient on its own. As of September 2023, more than 70% of content creators earned under 500 US dollar per year, while just 4% reported making between 10,000 to 50,000 US dollar in the past 12 months. The increasing importance of monetization in the creator economy amplifies the need for creators to engage in multiple revenue streams such as sponsorship deals, merchandise sales, and subscription based models like Patreon. The digitization of media industry has brought in several challenges as digital technologies have changed the entire content production, distribution, and consumption pattern profoundly. Most media companies have suffered revenue losses, being unable to adapt their monetization strategy to the rapidly changing media consumption patterns of their recipients. Additionally, advertising revenues have proven to be a less reliable revenue source in online than in offline media markets. Consequently, a major obstacle to the content providers' successful digital transformation is the establishment of sustainable revenue system. The market for music and video content reveals a trend towards direct monetization, with subscription based streaming services such as Spotify or Netflix showing increasing revenues. However, other media markets, including the market for news content, still struggle to monetize their content online. After extensive experimentation with various monetization approaches and several failed attempts, more and more news content providers adopt digital paywalls to counter the impending market trends. Here, I'll explore various monetization strategies commonly employed by online content creators and publishers. It will delve into the mechanisms or mechanics, advantages, disadvantages of paywalls, subscription models, and sponsorship models, providing a comprehensive overview to help selecting the most suitable approach for different content types and selecting platforms for publishing such content and target audience. The goal is to provide a clear understanding of each strategy to enable informed decisions about how to generate revenue from online content. While the term digital paywall is commonly used in the context of news content, the functionality of this instrument to govern consumers' access to online content is also important for other media products such as music, videos, or games. However, a standard digital paywall does not exist. Owing to this wide range of and new developments in configuration options, the limited experience with digital paywalls in practice, and a lack of research on this topic, it is still unclear which factors determine the optimal design or optimal use of a digital paywall system. The process of establishing a viable business model for online content creators is complex and remains a challenge for media companies. So, content providers seek to maximize direct revenue by selling their content and indirect revenue through advertising, which is a two sided market, while simultaneously considering cannibalization and spillover effects on their traditional formats. Whereas news content providers usually rely on both revenue sources for their printed editions, most of them initially offer their online editions free of charge and only monetize them indirectly through advertising. Although online advertising revenue has been growing steadily, this growth has not been sufficient to compensate for the growth or the revenue loss from offline sources such as print, subscriptions, or advertising. The small margins in online advertising are mainly due to the intensified competition in the digital channel driven by possibilities of paywall solutions and their economic impact on content providers direct, that is sales, and indirect, that is advertising revenue streams across online and offline channels. So, technological functionality of paywall systems. So, media companies typically operate using a system architecture that indicates a content management system, customer relationship management system, enterprise resource planning system ERP, and a website or mobile application. So, within the CMS, the editorial module handles content planning, creation, and modification. The content repository module stores and retrieves content, and the publication module formats content for various outputs. So, the CRM system maintains historical customer data and supports the management of customer relationships. Meanwhile, the ERP system, with an integrated media sales functions, facilitates the organization and unification of customer and transactional data. So, to implement paywall functionalities, content providers can integrate specialized systems into this existing structure or infrastructure. These paywall systems may be either dependent or independent and may be integrated within the operational system, that is CMS. So, the access control management, subscription and access policy management, and the user interface, all these components are critical for regulating and monetizing access to digital content. Now, the access control management, that is ACM module, primarily serves two functions, that is, identifying users on a website, that is, authentication, and determining whether they are allowed to access specific content or not, that is, authorization. When a user attempts to access a particular piece of content, the ACM module employs technologies such as cookies or JavaScript to track and recognize the individual by gathering various identification parameters. If the system confirms that the user has permission to view the content, the server delivers the requested page granting access. If not, the ACM redirects the user to a login page for credential verification, and on successful verification, the user is authorized and granted access to the specific content. If verification fails, the ACM module denies access, restricting the user until proper authorization is provided. Then, the Subscription and Access Policy Management (SPAM) module manages ACM module's operation, the access restriction, and pricing rules. So, an interface to the CMS is necessary if the access is to give specific content units is supposed to be restricted. So, the access restriction and pricing rules can be orchestrated by humans or automated by algorithm based on various data sources. Accordingly, an interface to the content provider's accessible data sources is required to define the rules and subsequently provide relevant information to the ACM, and the payment interface is a commonly integrated sub-module of SPAM, which provides different payment methods or links to payment service providers. So, the payment interface exchanges subscriber and transactional data with the CRM system and the ERP system. So, the user interface of a paywall system is designed to ensure a smooth and intuitive experience for users as they interact with the system's internal process. This includes features like paywall pages offering login and registration options, as well as self-service portals where users can manage their personal information and subscription details. The implementation of a paywall system also enables content providers to take advantage of data collection opportunities, ranging from anonymous data to casual, non paying visitors to personalized information from registered users. This allows media companies to trace the full customer's journey on their website, from initial visits to subscription selection and renewal behaviors. However, leveraging this data effectively introduces several challenges. To gain meaningful insights, content providers must store, link, and consolidate data streams in a central database while managing the associated information securely and efficiently. Additionally, analytical tools must be employed or used to adjust paywall settings in response to user behavior and engagement patterns. Through these tools and the paywall framework, content providers can customize access strategies to monetize digital content effectively. The second mechanism is closely related to the soft access restriction of a paywall solution, in which content providers offer free content and let consumers decide if they're willing to pay for the content behind the paywall. So, the soft access restriction can further distinguish whether or not the access restriction depends on the individual usage behavior of consumers on the website, that is, a usage dependent or usage independent access restriction. In a usage dependent access restriction, content providers give consumers the freedom to choose their preferred free content within a predefined allowance. Therefore, news publishers have no control over what content is being delivered to the audience. Whereas access restriction options, there are three primary access restriction models used by content providers, each based on different principles of user access control.